Hey, what's up guys? So I was going through and editing this video on how to install this switch, and I accidentally hit delete on a couple of things. The intro for one. So here's the intro. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate all my new followers and everything else, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Also, the process of starting this thing, I forgot the dash. It basically comes off with about 4 screws. Walked you through that in the video and accidentally deleted it. But there's 4 screws on it, and the whole dash just kind of pops off the front and accesses what you guys see in the next clip. So, okie dokie, since we got the dash taken apart, which is easy, there's a couple of clips these panels pull off. They just push in, then we got 4 screws, hold the panel on, pull that off, and it accesses all this area right here, which is awesome. So we're gonna figure out right between here what that length is, and we're gonna cut a piece of steel or something to go right in there, make it flat. We can bolt into it, and it's yeah, good to go. All right, so now we got our piece of steel here. We're actually gonna use the old screws for the radiator or radio, and just bolt it in like that. And 2 screws on that side, and see how that goes with mounting it. And we'll start with that. So after getting that bracket in, we cut it to 9.5, got the the holes drilled, some screws put in. This thing it's pretty solid. So we take it back out. We marked out where we want this bracket to sit on there. So we put it back in the vise, drill a couple holes for that, and we'll get those mounted up to this so it's all set and ready to go in. Well, who could guess? One little bracket in there. It's pretty sturdy, not going nowhere. You're only going to be switching it, so it's not really flexing. Pushing the button, it ain't moving either, so I mean, looks pretty good where it's gonna sit. I mean, it's just gonna be a little farther back than what I want, but we'll see if I can find some longer screws or something and bring it up a little bit. I don't know. Well, there she is. It's almost flush with everything, but I can't go any farther forward because I don't have long enough. Longer ones for the back here are actually gonna be longer, so I'm not gonna do that. That's where it's gonna sit. Looks pretty good. So now what we're gonna do is pull this back out so I can get all this wired back up to where it needs to be for all the accessories and wires and all the power stuff. Once this is done, we're gonna work on getting all this stuff pulled out of here, and the starter wire down there pulled out, and the fan, well, it's back there somewhere. So we're gonna get all that stuff pulled out and ready to go. Also want to wire it in the cigarette lighter, figure out what is going on with it. If it's just loose wire or what. So we can actually have a cigarette lighter in here. If not, I'm going to wire one in because I want one in here. Well, guys, all the wiring tore out. Got a little issue we got to take care of. Those brand new wires we just put on the battery. One of them broke. Anyway, we'll fix it. Right now we got one wire coming in. This wire is going to be a power wire that's going to supply power to these 3 switches here. So I don't have to run multiple power wires in. This is going to run off. This is going to go out to a relay anyway, so we're not worried about voltage. This one is going to run out to the fuel pumps after we ground out the lights and fuel power coming in, so we'll run another power wire here. This one, the wire is already sitting here, is for the starter. We're going to run those back down to the ignition source, which is going to be off that silver switch that's down there, off of the ignition for the start. This is also a fuel pump's ignition. Fuel pump's ignition turn on. This is going to be the starter, which is just pop off those 2 wires that are sitting over here. This blue one and that white one over there. And this is going to be all the relays for everything else, like the fan and the fuel. Well, once we get the other thing done, I was thinking about doing something else with that second fuel tank. But I'm going to wire those in and get those wires ran out to the dash so we don't have to worry about it. Once we install it in there, we are good to go. We don't have to worry about anything else. So all we got to do is we're going to use these little guys and wire in 3 little clips. Done. Well, so this has been interesting. Pulled off the positive on the battery broke. Tried to loosen the bolt and it just broke off. It's awesome. So I'm not worried about that right now. We'll get it fixed. But we have a lot of progress done now. There you go. This is the switch. As I was mentioning before with the wiring, what I was going to do is this power wire comes in and it will power up all 3 of these switches, because these are just going to be a 12 volt send out power to the relay. So it's just going to trigger the relay, tell it to turn on. That's all it's going to do. This is the starter switch, which already had everything installed, so I just ran the wire in to the power and back out to the relay itself, so it's ready to go. This is all the wiring from the silver switch down there. For the fuel pumps, I wired the fuel pumps in, got it done, and then we did that. We grounded out the light to it, so when we flip it on, it actually shows the light. Right now, what we gotta do is I gotta figure out what wiring I got left, because I gotta wire in these 3 wires real quick. Make sure these get done first before I mount all this back up and reinstall this. Once those are done, I can put this all back together, and this inside of this will be completely done. I don't have to worry about anything on that. But right now, I gotta get those done, and I don't know if I have enough wire that can carry that signal from these all the way back out, so we're gonna find out right now. Okie dokie, well, here is the wiring all done. So fuel pumps and ignition is all done, so when you flip the switch, turns on. I'll show you that when it gets up. The starter relay is in. These are all wired, they're all color coded, so I know what they are. Orange is number 1, yellow is number 2, and green is number 3. And they're just kind of just sitting right here at the moment. That's how we're going to keep color coordinated. Number 1 will be for the fan override switch, and then we'll have the number 2 and number 3, which I'll wire in later once we get going. Because there's another thing I want to do as well with the secondary tank on this. Actually, it's supposed to be the main tank. I'm running out the secondary, have been since I built the thing. So, but that's a long story on that one. Well, there's the job done. Everything's wired in, ready to go. Been mounted, not going anywhere. Pretty solid. We just gotta put the dash back together, and it's ready to go. Get a couple of zippies here. Zip tie these wires nice and keep them out of the way here. Gotta do a couple things over there that I undid from the previous wiring. Get those 2 switches out that we don't need anymore, and I guess there's gonna be 2 holes in my dash. Oh well. And move on to the next project. Not the next project, but the next part of this project. We gotta do the relay for the fan wire. We gotta do the stupid freaking battery again. Well, this is what happened to the positive. I was loosening this nut here to undo it, and the whole thing here broke. Brand new wire that we just replaced, so I need to go get a connector or something for this, so this can connect onto this. Well, this can connect down to positive. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna probably call it for the day. I'm gonna try and get this thing started. All the wiring we gotta finish up with all the switches, relays for fans and everything. We're just gonna tuck it underneath right here next to the fuse block that we installed previous while ago. We'll just tuck it up, and we'll trim this back, see if we can clamp it to the battery and then just get it started, because once it's running, the alternator will take over. And so working on the front, we ordered a new positive terminal. Woo, look at that, nice new. We wired in this fuse right here with a 30 amp. It's going to run to our new fuse block right there, which will distribute all this small stuff that we're running, like to that new switch bar, the fuel pumps, the fan, the what's the other thing, the brake controller, all that stuff. We're gonna put all that stuff in there because it's just a low draw, not low draw, but not a lot of amperage draws, so just low stuff. Everything else is gonna be pulled off of the last 2 things will be pulled off of relays, so which we'll show you guys how to wire, so it's not actually hurting anything besides just a low draw amperage. Click, turn on relays, pull power from somewhere else. Well, first off, what we're going to do is separate all these wires. These are all the wires off the switches except for the brown wire that's hooked into the cigarette lighter that we rewired because it was keyed. But since I moved all that ignition, the cigarette lighter never worked, so we wanted to make it actually work so we can actually have a cigarette lighter. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this over here. Probably can run this up to the top up here. and put it in here with a 10 amp fuse. Just run up here, boop, plug it in, put a 10 amp fuse in, and our cigarette lighter should be good to go. After getting the cigarette lighter all wired in, we're now finding the fan wiring, which was those white ones that we tucked away that were on the switch. This is the positive. We gotta make it a little longer. Plus, I'll make this a watertight connector, so we're not getting any water in that area, which is a shrink wrapped connector right there. Anyway, these are the relays we're gonna be using. It's a 4-pin relay. They're really easy to wire. This is the positive from a fuse from a main source. That's the ground. The blue and the white one. The white one goes to, let me just double check here if I can. It comes from the positive of the switch, and then the blue one goes to the fan itself. So that's what we're going to be doing. So positive from battery, ground this out, comes from the positive switch, which will be inside of there, that comes out to activate the switch, and then this sends power through these two wires from the main source to the fan itself, which we're going to wire in. We're getting over here, got the relay wired in. This is the fan wire. All we did was just run it underneath here, the same wire that the brake controller is, and we just put a new button. Well, you can't see it, but that's where positive is. It's just gonna ground that right there like it was. I put a connector on that, so it's got a good ground. Now we gotta run fuses first, not from the box itself, but from a main good power source to this guy. So we're going to run this positive wire to a fuse, and the fuse to actually the main power harness. So either off the battery here or off of where the alternator plugs into. So we actually have a constant 12 volt to that. Okay, here's your update, guys. So before I put all this away, this is your 4-pin relay. So how this works, you get a fused relay off of here, runs up to here. You ground, which I grounded right here to the frame, along with the other one too, because I'm putting 2 of these in. The blue wire runs back to your power source, or the source you're running, which I just wired to the fan wire right there. White wire runs to the switched source that sends the 12 volt power, the low voltage 12 volt power to this guy to activate the 30 pin, or the 80 pin, whatever pin it is, and boop, connects it over. Sorry, it's the 85 pin. Yeah, so the 85 connects over to 8730. It connects it so that these two will run power through your main source and not running through a switch that only is supposed to handle, like, say 3 amps of power or 6 amps of power, and the switch melts, and then we got issues and blah blah blah. So now, oh, I about lost my freaking thing full of thingies. That'd be a mess. That'd be a big mess to clean up. Anyway, so what we gotta do now is we gotta figure out what size of fuse we need for the fan, and how we figure that out is the fan itself pulls 120 watts. So I don't know if you guys can see this. So we're gonna take 120. I can't type. I can't even write right there. See if we can find a flat surface here. That's better. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 120 watts. We're gonna divide that by 12 volts, and that gives us 10 amps. So since they make a 10 amp fuse, I'm not sure if it'll hold it, so we can go one step up and go to a 15, which should probably be safe, and it'll still pop. So we'll do it that way. One step up, go to 15, make sure it can handle it. So let's put the 15 in here and see if this fan turns over. Alright, we got our 15 amp fuse in there. Cover that up. I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna flip that main switch, so hopefully the fan rotates. That turns on at least. Look at that. Fan's on. Sweet. The other relay, it's gonna be for something else, not wiring it in just yet, because we're still waiting on that to show up. But possibly will be wired in for some off-road lights because they draw so much power off of everything. So other than that, it's probably what we're going to be using it for, because we got 2 more wires, switch number 2 and switch number 3. So switch number 2 will probably be for the secondary fuel pumps, which I'm going to work on later for the second tank. We'll talk more about that later. But other than that, there we go. It's all wired in. Now we just got to take this and we're going to mount this somewhere so nothing happens to it, and get all these wirings all hooked back up for the starter and everything. And alright, so a little update for you. Here it is. It's all tucked away, nice and neat. I'm just gonna get a couple zip ties, probably zip tie it up, make it look good. There it is. We even put our old wire harness back up here, just kind of get it out of the way. Probably throw a zip tie around that too, so it doesn't go nowhere. That's what it looks like. Now we're gonna put the cover on the fuse box there, and then just I'm gonna wrap this green wire. This is for the 3rd switch. Is it? Yeah, that's for the 3rd switch. Not wired to anything yet. Neither is that second relay, because we're not sure what we're doing yet. Because here's the wire for that. That's off the 2nd switch, and then this would be the 3rd switch. Not sure what we're doing with those yet. They're probably just gonna get tucked away at the moment until we figure out what I'm gonna do. Is I know one for the off-road lights when I get the other set in because of the amperage on them. 2, something else. I don't know what the other one was for, but it might be for fuel pumps. I don't know yet. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys like it, give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to subscribe for more, subscribe for more. Leave us a comment. Talk to us later on all of our social medias. And yeah, we'll guess we'll see you next one. Bye bye.